fantasy genre is like the best way to talk about our times. Also, if it speaks about magic, or you have like a sword and like you go on a horse and not on a car, but was appealing for you as well, like to join the project. Also, this aspect about the narration about cursed.
What I love, I think the idea of sort of good and evil and black and white, we're kind of past that, in the sense that, you know, good people can do bad things and bad people can do good things, if that makes sense. And Nimue and all the characters you see in this are no different. You know, the sword is this incredible symbol for power. And there's a reason why people, you know, crave it or want it, and also why so many people reject it, because it really kind of brings out that internal battle within anyone who's near it or who wields it. And Nimue's no different to that. You know, we see her go from being completely restless and an outcast to really embracing her powers and who she is, to kind of taking a couple of steps astray and walking that very fine line between using her power for good and maybe not using it for its best.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think what's cool about the story is it is like you say, it's a manageable and palatable way of telling a story that people might not want to, you know, they might not want to approach right now in the world in some way. You know, it's very difficult, and some of what we're talking about in it, or even around destruction of environment or religious bigotry or whatever it is that you know, like it's much easier, like you say, in fantasy to kind of see the parallels, but to be able to be lost in a story and be transported somewhere is like I think it's goes back to like the old kind of round of fire telling of a story, you know, where people need that in order to approach certain things, certain thought processes or whatever. So yeah, I think it was there was something about that was quite interesting to me. Yes, I think it was. I think it was kind of part of the decision as well. But I think that's always gonna, people either resonate with that or they don't, you know. But the point is that you tell this story that Tom had kind of written that was really kind of interesting and fun and fantastical. So it certainly was to read. So it was great to kind of be a part of that.
I agree. And that's, you know, for me, that's what good sci-fi and good fantasy is. It gives us, you know, the very much needed escapism from our world today. You know, it's been a rough year, to say the least, for a lot of people. You know, so I think it's a very welcome escapism to just to flee into this fantasy world. But when you can get the combination of doing that while still reflecting relevant issues of our own time and our own world within that universe, that's, you know, when I think that fantasy and sci-fi are at their best.
I think we naturally fell into this place with the characters where we wanted them to be mythological and very, very human. You know, we wanted them to be epic and the situations to be very intimate. And I think the having Katherine Langford play Nimue, who has such range and such depth and such commitment to this character, the whole cast brought that. She was a kind of great leader in that sense. And we, you know, stories are relationships, and good stories, you know, hopefully, you know, draw us into these relationships. And we have some key, you know, even though these are huge mythical figures that we're dealing with, you know, we're still dealing with, you know, friends and lovers and fathers and daughters and all kinds of things. And so we really wanted to kind of draw that out of these characters and hopefully create that sense of, intimacy with this mythology.
Fantasy is something for me that I never really was a huge fan. I remember my mum put the first Lord of the Rings on when I was really small. And I mean, I don't know how small I actually was. I don't know what year that came out. But I remember I was so
2000.
young. I was like, this is so boring. And I like fell asleep so many times. And my mum was like, watch it. And then I didn't, that was my only experience of fantasy, which is bad to say, but because Lord of the Rings is incredible. But then Game of Thrones came along, and like everyone, I was obsessed with it. I thought it was so thrilling. And so that really introduced the fantasy genre to me. But also it's like, I didn't realize how huge it was as well. Like if you go looking for it, there is so much out there, which is really cool.
I know that you are a fan of the superheroes. In a certain way, it's like an origin of a superheroes in this case with Nimue. And since you have also worked on Avengers, but just wanted to know, considering all of this, how was working with Frank Miller?
I mean, Frank is a genius, you know, and he's a legend, and he's created so much in the fantasy and comic world. And it's really interesting when you meet him. He is such a humble and quiet person, but his brain, just the creativity and the ideas and his ability to kind of storytell is on another level. And what was really nice is, you know, Frank was very present on set, as was Tom Wheeler. And you would see them when you were shooting a scene, they would be off to the side talking about different things, and to see them both kind of chat and have that idea. I mean, they say affectionately, and I use this word affectionately, nerd, because I'm a bit of a nerd as well, but they're just on like another level. And we would kind of joke that they're kind of trying to bring me into their level. But yeah, it was incredible. And feel really lucky to have been able to work with, you know, such a genius, and both of them in their own right.
The animation, of course, it's like a link that connects all the stories, but it's like something that really gives you the glimpse of what like a TV show and animation can be like. It's amazing. It feels like you can actually, how you say, you are like turning the pages in a book. How did you manage to create this aspect?
I think from the beginning, we were looking to make this remind you of storybooks and of all the other ways that you've experienced King Arthur and the legends, and because it's such a long and grand and wonderful you know, tradition from the illustrated books of old, and to the cartoons that we grew up with, to all of these things. That this is so much of our culture, and that's to be celebrated in the course of telling this beautiful mythology.
I'm really curious to know, since you portray in a certain way the hero of this story, but he's not actually the hero when we first met him. It's more like it's a really different version of Arthur since the one that we used to know. So was appealing for you to join to this project, this particular side of Arthur?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of love, because I mean, Nimue is the overarching hero of this story, and I loved that. That was a giant appeal to me, because I loved that we could discover Arthur through her story, and we discovered in a new way of. I really wanted to make Arthur very layered in terms of emotional and vulnerable, and so that we see this young boy kind of grow into a man, hopefully over this journey. And so it's really exciting. I mean, I hope it pays off, but yeah, it was just it felt like an empty canvas that you could do anything you really wanted to and just tell the truth, and hopefully something comes out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in your previous experience, you portrayed also Barack Obama, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like he's a real character. In this case, Arthur is a kind of a real character, because, you know, it's a legend, but it feels like. But do you like to, as an actor, portray characters like that? They have a lot of history and a lot of people that have already portrayed them on the big screen on TV. So do you feel the pressure, or you prefer to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never scared of if someone's previously played the role, because I think every actor and every person on this planet has something else to offer. And I think that's the amazing thing with every character, it's a different perspective. And I think even with Barack, it was about finding Barack within myself so that people can relate to that. And as an actor, each character I play, I have to find the process of how to get into that. So yeah, I wasn't daunted by the challenge of doing this, and I was actually extremely excited. But it's nerve-wracking because it's a 10-hour journey of trying to bring this person to life and not trying to tell the story before it actually happens.
Hey, it's Lisa. Stay with me for more on TV. Do you know who the top 3 highest paid TV stars are? Well, Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory with 25 million, Jim Parsons also from The Big Bang Theory with 26.5 million, and coming at number 1 is Sofia Vergara from Modern Family with 42.5 million. Now, who is your favourite TV actor or actress? Now also, do you like my shirt? You can get one for yourself. The link is in the description.